I am back for another one.
This is going to be a new sort of series that I've come up with. I'm going to call it Mixed with... My bad. This is a new series that I've come up with, and I'm going to call it... Premise of this is, I've got a couple songs. Whenever I make a new one, I'm going to go over the recording, the idea, making it, and mixing and mastering of it, obviously. But yeah, that's the idea I've got. This is my first sort of trial run, so I hope this goes well. But yeah, luckily the first song I'm doing is one of my own, so I don't have to figure out this idea while facing any copyright strikes, because that would be absolutely horrendous. This song, haven't got a name for it. Sorry about that. But this is definitely an original. This is one of mine. I've had to write this for a college project. This is something I've been a bit reluctant to do because a lot of people do it, but obviously it's one of the easiest ways to get your music out there and to kind of showcase what talent you have when making music. So if you're a person yourself and you like making your own music and you want to get on some sort of YouTube scene, start doing this. It's easy. All you need is you don't need two cameras, but you don't need all this stuff. Just get yourself a camera, a microphone, sorted. Just talk and talk and talk and talk like I'm doing too much. My name's Valentine. I'm a recording engineer. My name's Valentine. I'm an audio producer. I'm such a My name's Valentine. I'm an audio engineer and a producer, and this is basically what you want realistically when you're writing a song is an empty project. You do want an empty project. I'm not going to go through and make a whole one because I've got it right here, but that's what you want. You can use a template, but if you want to get your own idea down, grab an empty one, and all you need is whatever instrument you want, whatever plugin, and you go from there. So the idea I kind of had was very dissonant. Didn't find, but my brain kind of showed me this little... And that came to me about a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago, in my last college. And it's kind of been stuck in my head, and I haven't really had the right chance to get it down, but I got it down, so lucky me. I think the difficult thing about this is actually recording these, because I talk so much and I lose so much time on footage. It's crazy. With this entire project, you don't need 70 odd tracks. This is just how I like producing my things, because I've got a really good computer. It can do it, and it's all organised. You can see it's in its own stems and it's all coloured and everything, so yeah. Originally, when it came to me, it was a... But I thought having to play it on this string here is so much easier. Now, when it comes to the chords of this song, it just follows the... So that note there, that is a G. It'll be a G major. That's how it goes the entire time. There are a couple notes where it changes chords, and that's usually during the pre-chorus. I just hit my mic stand with the guitar. I'm going to put that down. So, to take you through mainly what I've done with just those chords, I'm going to go up here and unmute this. So right here we've got a couple tracks of guitar recordings. The main one I wanted to bring in is this. But, unfortunately, I haven't got an acoustic guitar, so I decided to get this and record it directly into my microphone. That wasn't to make it sound acoustic, but to give it more of a live feeling, so it's not just run through a bunch of plugins or the pickups, basically, so it's just strings. And what I did was I layered that on top of 3 different versions of that, so I played it 3 different times, and it was a low, so it's a little bit more drowned out, a medium. And then I've got a higher one, I don't know why it's called vocal. That is pretty much the same throughout the whole song, aside from the second chorus where you have this more aggressive lead, where it goes. And that was that note right there from earlier on. And then there's these high chords again. Aside from that, there's also a part in the second verse where there's these same mic'd guitar chords, but they're drowned out. They go back into the original undrowned ones. And then you see here, there are these two guitar tracks here, and these are different. They're not different. They are the same, but they're panned left and right. So if you listen to these two, and these are the same throughout, just the verse number 2 and the chorus. So with the guitar and the chords out the way, I'm going to take you through what I wanted to do with the whole melody, because that was probably the trickiest thing for me to land at this moment in time, because there is a lot that I wanted to do, a lot of ideas, but not enough room. So if I unmute this bit, what I did here was practically the same thing I did with the chords. So I split them into 3. I played that 3 times over. Oh. And up here. Like. So the way I played that, it was more of a... It was like that, which I wanted to put that in because I really liked how that sounds. If I solo this, and then unsolo this, so it's playing with the chords. Basically how it went. Now, to accompany these bends and the way they're so spacious, I wanted to add something that gave it a little bit more space. Now, the way I did this wasn't just by adding a bit more guitar. I used the guitar, yes, but nice little trick I learned from a friend of mine was to use very, very low attack guitar with a bit of reverb. And I can show you here. So you think, you go from this to something like this by adding those things. That was just in the background to give the song a little bit of air, but also carry forward that melody, because obviously just having the guitar strumming and a bit like, yeah, sounds a bit basic, but play all these together. If you couldn't hear it, it sounds like this. So, super spacey, very back of the queue, that's what it is. And then we've got the drums. Now the drums are the most simple thing in this song, honestly. This is really just... I didn't want them to be too far forward. I wanted the main thing to be the guitar, which is why it's at the top. Because I always put the foundation of the song at the top. Then it's sorted by order of importance, basically. And I think the most drums that you're going to get in this song is at the end. That's it. Now, when it comes to more space, I've got a piano here. Now, very strange for a piano to be in a mostly guitar song, but I can play the melody for you. And it kind of goes like this. It's pretty simple, if you ask me. But if I play that with it... Now, the second part of this, I wanted to add a little bit more space that is more continuous, more consistent than a bit of melody. So I added some strings in the end. Now that is pretty important. This bit right here, that little... Now, the way I did this was literally just by... Let's see if I can record something like this. So if I solo... Whatever, yeah. Go to your piano roll, click on these or whatever, then go to the automation/MIDI page, and it's right here. You can just bend it up or bend it down. And I just did that with the violin to give it more of a high climb, because that happens when everything else is cut out. So it's meant to more ascend it, which is why the drums also get a bit more active. The only other thing I have here to make the song a bit more alive feeling is some synths. Now that is just to accompany these violins here mostly, but they also have their own thing. So in this little pre-chorus you can hear this synth right here building up, and it's very drony, very sharp, but it's drony. Then in the chorus you have these synth arpeggios. Yeah. Now along with these violins we have this, which is more drony synth, but it has more of a melody to it, so... Along with that, we got a bit of melody here. With some more synths. Which that in itself is made to sound good, but obviously if you pair it with everything else, the only thing here left to really go over when it comes to the instrumentation is the bass. Now the bass is at the bottom because, as you heard, this song, all it needs left is just bass. It sounds pretty finished by itself, but I didn't want the bass to be too up front either. So the way I recorded this, hate me or not, I used my electric guitar. So all I did here was I chucked some octave on it, and that's all I did. Very simple. There is also a lead part in this bass section, but it's very bassy, that goes along with the bends. That really does help when it comes to making the song feel a bit more full. Everything else in this is pretty self-explanatory, so we've gone over the chords, the melody, the bends, the drums, the orchestra / piano and strings. I just label orchestra because they're orchestral instruments. The synths, the basses, and yeah, these 4 tracks down here are just for me to give you examples of the. Once you've recorded everything, once you've got everything down the way you want it to, you need to organize your things. This isn't just a recording thing. This isn't just for mixing. This is just so that your workflow is as productive as possible, because it's music production. As I said earlier, the way I do this is by putting the most prioritized instrument, which would be the guitar in this one, at the top. It's just the chords. These carry the song. They're at the top. I have them in a sum. This isn't a regular stack. This is a summing stack. This means I can put my own reverbs and compressions and all that stuff on all of these instead of having to go through each individual one and wasting a bunch of time on that. But you could only do this if you want all these individual things to sound similar, to have the same plugins put on them. If you want something to sound different, take it out. Don't put it on a summing stack. But yeah, if you put everything in its own group, then the next thing is to color code it. The way I color code my things is by priority. Sometimes I use nice little gradients, sometimes I don't, but it's a mental thing. I see my drums as this kind of yellowish orange. The synths have always been green to me. Orchestral instruments are either blue or purple to me. The bass is either dark red or a dark purple, and the guitars have always been this kind of level, this kind of color. That's just been my thing for years and years. I've always been that way. Not much I want to change about it either. It's just everyone's different. Aside from that, one thing I do suggest you do is when you've finished recording these things, you would usually see a bunch of MIDI tracks here. A lot of MIDI tracks. Now, one thing I developed from having a nice little horrible computer was, once you've done everything you want to with the track, once you're absolutely sure you want to move forward with it, bounce it in place. 100% definitely bounce it in place, because that saves up so much CPU power. It is insane. If you bounce it in place, you're not only not running the plugin anymore, or whatever VST you're using, it's just an audio file. You can bounce it in whatever size you want, whatever quality, but I was doing one in the highest quality because it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, that's why you see these are all audio files instead of specific plugins. But I will tell you what I've used for some of them, but that'll be later in the video. So when it comes to the mixing of this all, I did want it to be kind of simple. I want it to sound popish, kind of vintage, but at the same time new and a bit electronic. That's just, I've always mixed my songs that way. It's strange. The one thing I did start out with was the drums. What I really focused on was making sure they were all saturated, basically. What I put on this drum sum was Cymatic's Diablo Light. This, I've got a little bit of punch, tiny bit of clip. It's a soft clipper, not the hard side, and I increased the mix a little bit as well. This is just to give it a little bit more punch, and I'll give you a nice little demonstration of the difference between them. So if I turn this off, and solo it. See how it gives it a little more air, a little bit more punch. It's just makes the drums a bit more full, a bit more packed together. Now the next thing I did want to use on these drums is this new plugin, somewhat new, but you can pick it up for free right now. This is Carve Audio's Busboy. This is a drum bus. You've got your EQ, high pass, low pass, you've got limiter and compression. This is basically just everything you need in a drum sum in one plugin. This is great. Aside from that, one thing I did want on this was Magic 7. This is an emulation of a very popular reverb plugin, but I put a studio room reverb on these drums and set the mix to something very low. The smooth and the dark, they don't matter that much unless they're up here. So, bit of pre-delay, bit of low. I'll add a tiny bit more air as well. But this is great. Have a listen. This is with Busboy. This is without. With. Without. See how it kind of glues the drums together a bit more? It's great. Now, this Magic 7, on the other hand, this just gives it more space. This is without it. See how it just puts them in the song and not plays them, you know what I mean? It's great. It's subtle, but it's great. It's these little things that you do to your songs that make them feel more realistic. The next thing I worked on was something I didn't need to work on much, but it was the piano. All I did for this piano was put a UAD 1177 because it already had EQ on it, but that has gone because I had bounced it in a different way. But this just takes off that harshness. I didn't want it to be very pushy. I want it to be somewhat flat in the background, but also not at the same time in this bit. Just keep the peaks really controlled. Now, aside from that, I've got a Valhalla Vintage Verb plugin on this. This is a preset, but this is a chamber, and this kind of gives it that, it makes it sound a bit ethereal. So if I turn this off, so even so, this is also really subtle, but it puts it in the song. I've done the same thing with these synths. There is another one, this is the same chamber preset. This just puts these two in the same bag because they're both meant to be doing the same thing. So they sound like they're in the same family. With the bass, obviously I haven't put a reverb on the bass. I haven't put much on the bass aside from the things that are on these specific bass plugins. So they have their respective reverb and whatever else. They've got compression. What I've done for this lead, on the other hand, is there is a noise gate. There is a pedal board, but I've only got a high drive treble boost and a fuzz on it. This mixer, you don't really need this to be on. I didn't need this. This was just a preset. And then we got an amp. This is more boost than the treble because it's got Dr. Octave on it. The bass is going to be nuts, but this is just to even out everything else. The UAD 1176 FET compressor, a tape delay, and a modulation delay. So aside from that, this is pretty much... Well, let me play it. That gives it a little bit more of an electric feeling. Now with these chords, what I've put on these is... Well, let's go through, shall we? This mic guitar has another 1176 compressor on it, but it has RC20 retro color. This is a magnetic saturator. Sorry, my brain froze for a moment. And a bit of noise. This noise kind of emulates that vinyl crackle that you get when you play things through tape. So if you listen, just makes it sound more tape, more vintage. And I believe it's the same thing with all of these. These Tube Kings have a squash pedal and an amp where the gain is a little bit higher than everything else, just to give it a bit distortion. This one's got an overdrive on it, yeah. And these two, I've already gone over these. These are the same as this Tube King right here, but just pan left and right. This is raw recorded. There's no amp, there's no gain or anything like that. There's just a tape delay and a stock compressor on it. So that's how I got the chords to sound so full, but also together. Now with these bends, I am using a lot of reverb plugins. Now, this is just for Hala Supermassive on a massive vocal preset. And you can hear the lack of attack in that bend, which is what my main goal was, because when you have so many plugins here, you can start to hear the snap in, the pop in, all the attack, and I wanted to mediate that by taking away the attack in most of these, so you can keep the chords going. Yeah, simple. I believe that all that's done now. The mastering, on the other hand, is very simple. I've got a TB Tech. I'm just going to call this Kirchhoff because it was a running joke with my friends. This was the Kirk EQ. What I did before this was use the Logic AI mastering tool to see a kind of a guideline of where I should cut out the EQ, because I had an idea myself, which was more to get rid of this bit around here, because there was a lot of rumble coming from these guitars. No matter how much I EQ'd out, I just had to get it out of the final mix. Boosted the bass a little bit because that's what everyone does in their mixes, especially for phones as well. You got to boost it. And then this right here, this was mainly for the vocals, but this is only a tiny boost. But let me show you something real quick. This is the smoothest compressor ever. I got this for free. I was lucky. This is a part of the either UAD Spark or UAD Luma pack. You get this and a couple other plugins for free. One of them is also the LA 1176 compressor, but this one I got for free a couple years back. I've also got a limiter on it. And, I use something called the 6 dB technique. This is basically where you lower this by a bit. I usually lower this by 6 dB. And when I increase it, it should be peaking enough from all of this for me to be able to add 6 dB of gain on the master track, and it doesn't go above 6 dB. That's what I always aim for. It takes a lot of time, a lot of trial and effort, trial and failure as well, to get that tight as possible with all of your mixes. But this is something that you should definitely work towards, especially if you're going to be posting your songs on social media and Spotify and Apple Music. I don't do that. I don't make my own songs, but especially if you're going to be doing that, you need to develop this skill. You don't need to, but it definitely helps when it comes to when you're publishing your songs online, and sometimes Spotify or YouTube put a bit of compression on your thing, and if it's clipping too much, then it's going to sound terrible. Now, the last thing I have on this master track is Quantum Room Simulator. Or is it Quantec Room Simulator. This is the most minimal reverb ever, and this is on the master track. This is just because all of these tracks, all of these songs have their own separate reverbs on it. It's the same plugin, the same formula, but they're different tail ends, different filters. This is just to even out all of that and give everything its own familiar reverb. And this is tiny. So if I play this right here, I'm going to play the start of the song. If I take off the limiter, the reverb, and the compressor, it just finishes off. This is all done, I believe. If you look, it's great. Another thing I do suggest you do is, after you've bounced these things in place, you have to go through and cut out these spots right here. I've got a really bad habit of not doing this because I don't like spending the time on doing it. I know how helpful it is, I just don't listen to myself when I tell myself to do it, and that's not a really good feature of mine. Another thing, when you've got these bounced in place tracks, if they're normalized to about 10 dB, you're gonna see that no matter how much you increase this, some of them you just can't see them. They can be as loud as possible and you won't be able to see them. They can be pushed forward in the mix or whatever, you just won't be able to see them. With the drums and the chords, there's just no issue with that because they're drums, of course, you're always going to be able to see them. But definitely go through and cut these bits out, because sometimes you could be missing something, or sometimes a bit of the audio that you don't want playing can be playing because it's either looped over or you've recorded too much and forgot to get it out. Sometimes I do that. I record a bit too much of a track and forget to cut it out. And now, aside from all of these things that I'm doing real quick, there is one last thing that I've done, because at the start of making this song there was a lot of noise coming from these guitar recording tracks because there are so many of them. And the main way I beat that was, if you've been watching this, you've been paying attention, you might have seen these little triangles on the sides of these tracks. And what these are fade-ins. So there are fade-in zones. If you can turn these on in Logic, there are fade-in zones where if you go to one of the tracks, you can click here and you can fade it in. This was basically just to stop the clicking and the popping and get rid of all of that static that you get at the start of these recordings. And that really helped making this song sound smooth, because I have a version of it in my files that it sounds horrible before. All of these pre-choruses, you can just hear it. Now it's all gone. But beforehand you can hear all this tss, and it was horrible. I believe that is everything done. Now, obviously there wasn't much to talk about with this song because it's pretty self-explanatory. Bit of guitar, some bends, melody, drums, piano, synth, bass. But some songs require a bit more of a breakdown, so if you lot want anything to be explained, down in the comment section, have a look at it, because I love recreating songs, I love remaking them, I love seeing what I can do with someone else's work and see how I compare with my own techniques and my own skill. So this brings us to the end of my first episode of If you like this video, subscribe, put a like down. YouTube's algorithm still hates me from the past 2 videos. And yeah, hopefully these pick up, because it takes a long time to make these songs and I don't even script these videos, man. It just takes a long time to build up the confidence to come up here and talk in front of the camera and the microphone, because I'm just not built for this. When it comes to artists these days, you can't just make music anymore. You gotta be a videographer, a streamer. You gotta have all this money for all this equipment, and some people don't even make it out of that. So yeah, I'd like to see some of my efforts pay off. And while we're on the subject of taking too damn long, dude, I've been doing this for days. This video is like over half an hour long and I'm contemplating life. Anyway, if you're curious on what plugins were used in this video, they're all in the description. Some are stock plugins, so you won't find them, but the ones that you can buy or get for free are in the description. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video, whenever that is. There will be a next one though, trust me, I got you.